Hey guys, welcome to your first PhoneGap project. In this project, this is going to be kind of an introduction, and the main purpose of it is to show you how a PhoneGap application is created, how it's structured, and then how we can test it on the Android emulator as well as on an iOS device. Okay, so this is the application opened up in the Android emulator. You'll see it's basically just a mobile website within a native container. We're using Twitter Bootstrap. Okay, so this is the home page or the welcome page where we just have a couple different boxes with some content. Okay, if we scroll up here, we're using Twitter Bootstrap and we're using the responsive nav bar here. And you'll see we have a couple different pages. If we go to the About Us page, the Services page, and this is only running slow because it's in the emulator. On a physical device, it's very quick. And we have a contact page where we just have a simple form. Okay, now the form doesn't work because we don't have any back end or anything like that. It's just the front end application. Okay, so very, very simple, but it will give you a nice introduction to how PhoneGap works. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to get started on our mobile website. First thing we're going to do is generate a new application. So let's go ahead and click on the add icon here, and then we'll say create new PhoneGap project, and we're going to start with the hello world. Okay, we'll click next. Let's choose a path. We're going to choose projects, and then I have a folder called PhoneGap. That's where we're going to put everything for the PhoneGap section, and we'll click select folder. The name of this is going to be Acme, and then for this let's do com.phonegap.acme. Okay, then we'll create the project. Alright, so our project has been created and it should be running. So if we go to this address, you'll see the application. I actually want to use Chrome, though I don't want to use Edge, so I'm just going to copy that. And then we'll, excuse me, we'll open up Chrome. Okay, we'll go to that address. Okay. Now with this application, it's basically just a website, so we're not using any device utilities or anything like that. So we should be able to pretty much develop the whole thing in the browser. We may have a couple flickers when we switch pages, but that's just because it's in the browser. It'll run fine on the actual application. So now I'm going to open up my text editor, and I'm using Atom. And let's see, I'm just going to close these out, and then we're going to go to File, Add Project Folder. Let's go to PhoneGap and then Acme. Okay, so if we open up the config file here, you can change anything you want. I'm going to change the description. We'll say simple Acme website app. And then for the author, you can change that if you want. And feel free to put your own name in here. Let's see, say Eduonix. And let's see, I'll just put okay, and then everything else I'm just going to leave, so we'll save that. And then let's go to the www folder and open up index.html and also index.js. Now in index.html, I just want to get rid of everything we can. So all these comments, we don't need these. Get rid of all this and that. Let's change the title to Acme website or Acme mobile. And then down here, we're going to just change this up and make this a little less complicated with the app initialize. So basically in the index.js, get rid of that. And we're actually going to get rid of all of this. Basically what you need to know is that we're going to add the event listener to listen for the device ready event, and then we can pretty much do anything we want after that. Okay, how they have it here is kind of complicated, the way they put it in this app object, and they have all these different functions just to get this functionality here. So what we're going to do is just grab this, and then to get rid of everything in this file, and we'll paste that in, and we'll say when this device ready event fires off, then we'll call a function called on device ready. Okay, and then we can just go down here and say function on device ready, and whatever you want to go in there will go in there. So we'll say console log device ready. Alright, and then we'll save that. So we won't need the app initialize anymore. We can just get rid of that. Okay, and it's just going to load the index.js, and then it'll check for that event. Okay, now if we look in the console, down here you can see it says device ready, but it's not actually going to interact with any device because there isn't one. And we don't need to do that with this project. It's basically just a static website that's going to be wrapped inside of a container. Now I'm going to select everything here and just get rid of it, and let's just put in home for now. So if we save that, that should automatically reload, and we get home. Now this stuff, this icon here in the background, is all coming from the CSS. So if we go to CSS and then the index CSS, I'm just going to get rid of everything in here. Okay, so we basically just want to start from scratch as far as the UI. Alright, now we will get that splash screen when we reload. See, we still get that. That's being loaded up in the config file, which is let's see, say splash. Okay, so we're using the splash screen plugin, and then I believe the image for it is one of these, depending on what device and what resolution we're on, stuff like that. So we'll just leave the splash screen. That's not a big deal. Alright, so we're going to stop here, and in the next video we'll start to create our mobile app UI with Twitter Bootstrap, and we'll start to add our pages. Alright guys, now when you use PhoneGap, you can use absolutely any kind of UI you want, any library, any front-end framework, and we're going to use Twitter Bootstrap for this one. And we're going to use a customized version of it from bootswatch.com. So basically, they just give you customized CSS files, and they can look like any of these. So what we're going to do is grab this darkly one right here. So if we click download, it'll just take us to that actual CSS file. And we're just going to select all of it and copy. And then let's go into our CSS inside the www folder, and let's say new file, and we'll call it bootstrap.min.css. And then we'll just paste all that CSS in. Okay, and we'll save that. Okay, and let's close that up. And then if we go to our index page, our index file, we just want to include that bootstrap file. So let's go ahead and copy that, paste it in there, and change this to bootstrap.min.css. Okay, so now if we go back to our application, which I have open right here, you'll see that we now have a dark background. That CSS file is now in effect. So we're going to be using a responsive menu, okay, a mobile menu for Bootstrap. So we need the JavaScript for Bootstrap as well. So let's go ahead and go to getbootstrap.com, and we'll just click to download it. Now we already have our custom CSS file, so we just need the JavaScript. So we'll grab the zip file, and let's bring that over. We're going to open up the application folder as well. Okay, so PhoneGap, Acme, and then in the www.js, we're going to bring over bootstrap min.js. Alright, and then let's see, why isn't that showing up? What the heck? Alright, there we go. And then we're also going to bring over the fonts folder right into our www in case we want to use some of the icons. And then that should be it. We'll close that up. Now we're also going to need jQuery because Bootstrap JS depends on jQuery. Alright, now the reason I'm not using any CDNs or any external links is because I want this to be able to load without an internet connection. So yeah, it's not going to have to go out somewhere else to get jQuery. So we're going to download it directly. Alright, so let's see, we'll show in folder and let's bring that over. Okay, and then we just want to include those scripts down here. Actually, let's go above the index.js. And then I'll just copy this. And this is going to be js/jQuery. Oh. Let me just see what that was called again. jQuery-3.1.1. And was it minified? Yep, .min. Okay, and then we also want to include the bootstrap file, so let's go right below it. And we'll change this to js/bootstrap.min.js. Save that. Alright. So now what we'll do is start to add our content. Let's go ahead and grab a navbar from Get Bootstrap. So we're going to go to Getting Started, and I'm going to go to Examples, and then this starter template here, and we'll do a Control-U. And then I'm just going to grab this nav tag right here. Okay, so we'll copy that. And let's go ahead and paste that right below the body tag. Okay, and then we'll change this project name to Acme. And let's save that. And let's go to, go to our other window. And you should get something like this. And you can see we have our little drop down here. And I'm actually going to remove the navbar fixed top class so that nothing goes under the navbar. Okay, now you can see, we can now see the home. Before it was underneath. So now we'll go ahead and do the navbar. So this is going to go to index.html. And then we'll just create regular HTML pages just like if it was a regular website. And PhoneGap knows how to navigate between them. Okay, we'll have a contact page. The form, it won't actually be a working contact form, but we'll build out the UI. Okay, because we're not using any back-end languages or anything. And then we're going to have a services page as well. Okay, so that'll be our navigation. And then down here, instead of this app class, let's call this container, so that Bootstrap uses that to kind of, center the content. Actually, you know what? I do want everything centered, so let's do text center as well, which is another Bootstrap class. Okay, so we'll save that. And now everything should be in the container and be centered. And let's actually make that an H1. And I don't want it to say home, we'll just say welcome to Acme. Alright, so now that we have the navbar, in the next video we're going to continue with the content, and we'll go ahead and add the other pages, and then we'll move on to testing it on the mobile device itself. Alright guys, in this video we're going to continue with our home page here and then the inner pages. Now I want to use something called Font Awesome for our icons on the home page. And now you could use the standard Bootstrap icons, but I think that these are a lot nicer and there's a lot more choices. So if we go to fontawesome.io and go ahead and download this, and let's just click this button here, and then we'll open up that zip file. And then what we want to do is bring over the CSS. So let me just open up our project folder here, www css, and we're going to bring over fontawesome.min.css. And then we also want to bring over the fonts inside the folder here. Now we already have a fonts folder, so we're just going to add these files to it. Alright, and then we can close that up. So now that we have those files, we can go ahead and include the CSS file in our index.html. I'm just going to copy that, and then we'll change this to font-awesome. Okay, and then we'll go down to where our H1 is, and let's put in a paragraph with the class of lead. Makes the font a little bigger. And we'll just say, welcome to our mobile website. Okay. Now what I want to do is use the Bootstrap grid system. Even though this is going to be a mobile hybrid app, I still want it to look good on desktop browsers, because why not? It's easy enough to do with Bootstrap. Okay, so we just want to create a row, and then we're going to do 3 4-column divs. So we want to do div class, set this to call md4 -4, and inside here we're going to have a div with the class of well, which will give it a background and some padding. And we're going to put our icon here, so let's put an I tag with the class of FA for Font Awesome, and then FA Gear, which is the icon that I want to use. Okay, and then under that, let's put an H3, and we'll just say top technology, and then a paragraph. And I'm just going to I'm going to paste in some dummy text here. Alright, and then what we'll do is copy the 4-column div and then paste it right underneath 2 times. Okay, and the second one, we're going to change this to FA user for the user icon, and change this to reliable service. And then this one here will be FA $, and we'll change the heading to affordable. Let's say affordable pricing. Okay, and then I just want to put a footer down at the very bottom. So this will be, let's see, we'll do a paragraph and give it a class of text center. And we'll just say copyright, and let's put an ampersand copy semicolon 2017, and we'll just put Acme Inc. Alright, let's save that. Alright, so that's what it should look like. And now notice the icons are really small. That's just the default size. So what we need to do, well, it goes by the font size. So what we want to do is increase that for those icons. So let's open up the index CSS file and say .fa, and in here let's do font size, and we'll do 60 pixels. Okay, save that, and that should make those bigger. Alright, there we go. So that looks pretty good, and even if we were to extend this, you can see that that looks good as well. So now let's add the inner pages. So in the www folder, I'm going to create a new file called about.html, and also services.html, and contact. And then I'm going to copy everything in the index file and paste it into about. And we're going to go up here and change the active class from the nav bar, take it off index or home and put it onto about. And then down here, let's change the H1, say about us, and change this as well. We'll just say who we are. Okay, now for this, I don't want to have 3 of these boxes. I only want 1. So I'm going to get rid of this second 2. So that column D4 and that one. And then we're going to change this 4 to a 12 because there's only 1 now, so I want a 12 column. Okay, and then we're going to get rid of the icon. And for the H3, actually we don't need an H3. What we do want here is an image. Okay, and I have in your project files, you'll have image 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to go ahead and put image 1 here. So let's say source. It's in the IMG folder, and then image 1.jpg. And save that. And then if we go to about, it should look like this. Now notice the image is kind of breaking out of the div there. What we're going to do is give that image a class of thumbnail, and then we're also going to go to our index CSS file and say dot thumbnail, set that width to 100%. Okay, so now if we reload, it should fit in there. Good. So now let's copy everything in the about and paste it in services. And then again, we'll change the active class, put it on services. We'll change, we'll change this here. And for this, we'll say what we do. We'll change the image to image 2, and that should do it. Save that. And let's see if we reload. Might have to restart the server. Yeah, looks like it's still blank. So let's go to our PhoneGap desktop, stop the application, and then run it. And then reload. And there's our services page. Okay, you can see services is highlighted. The active class is working. Okay, so now it's on about. So last page is the contact. I'm going to just copy everything we have in services, paste that in. We're going to change the active class onto this one. Change this. And we'll just say get in touch. Okay, and then we're going to remove, or we're going to change the image to image 3 and then remove the paragraph. Okay, because I'm just going to paste in a simple form. Alright, so just a form tag with some form groups with a label and an input, and then a submit button. So let's save that. We might have to reset the server again. Nope. I guess because we already created it. And there we go, there's our form. Of course, it doesn't work because we don't have any back-end functionality, but our mobile website, our mobile application, is now complete. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how we can test it on our device as well as in the Android emulator. Alright, so now what we're going to do is test this application on an iOS device, and then we're also going to test it on the Android emulator. So I have my iPhone 6 plugged in, that's what you're seeing here. And we have the desktop application running, and the server's on 10.00.42, port 3000. So I'm going to go to my PhoneGap app, and it may just open up. No, okay, so we just got to do connect. And it should open up our application. Okay, so there it is. If we scroll down, that looks pretty good. And we can click the little navigation up here, go to the About page. Okay, that looks good. Services. and contact. All right, so our application looks pretty good on an iOS device. So what we're going to do now is just close that up, and we're going to run this on the Android emulator. Now, in order to do that, we need to add a platform to this. Okay, we need to add the Android platform. So make sure that you're in your Acme folder here in your command line, and we're going to use Cordova, and we're going to say platform add Android. Okay, so once we do that, we should be able to open it up in the Android virtual device. Okay, so it's adding all the plugins. Okay, so now that we did that, we should now be able to do Cordova run Android, and that should open up the AVD. Okay, so we got build successful, and now it's going to open up. Okay, so that's the desktop. Now the application should open up on its own. It might just take a second. Okay, so there it is. That's what it looks like on an Android device. I can scroll down here, and then let's go and check the other pages. So we'll go to About, we'll go to Services, Contact. Good. So it looks great on both devices, iOS and Android. So we've built a very, very simple PhoneGap application. Now in the next project, we'll do something a bit more functional. But I just wanted to give you kind of an intro project, just so you can see how the process works and how we can test and all that. All right, so that's it for this project, and let's move on to the next.